Welcome to the CannMed Coffee Talk podcast, where we talk with the leading minds in cannabis science, medicine, cultivation, and safety testing. I am your host, Ben Amirault. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager at Medicinal Genomics and proud member of the team that puts on the CannMed Summit. Okay, we just announced our first round of poster presenters who will be sharing their work at the CannMed 25 Innovation and Investment Summit this June in Puerto Rico. You can read all about each of them on our speaker page at canmedevents.com, along with our confirmed oral presenters and panelists who will be participating in the Cannabis Genomics Workshop and the Compliance Testing Workshop. You can check out the CannMed Practicum instructors as well, and don't forget that doctors and clinicians can earn 6 continuing medical education credits by attending the Practicum. All the details are at canmedevents.com. Be sure to sign up for email alerts so you get all of our announcements delivered directly to your inbox. And please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. Oh yeah, and don't forget to register to join us at CannMed 25. We've gotten a great response on our early bird promotion, which did expire last week, but there are still great ticket packages available. We'd love to see you in June. Check out the details again at canmedevents.com. Our guest today is Israel Gasperin. Israel is a visionary entrepreneur, engineering scientist, and the founder of Zentrela, a company dedicated to transforming cannabis research through advanced neurotechnology and AI. Under Israel's leadership, Zentrela developed the Psychoactive Effect Level metric, an innovative EEG-based measure capable of objectively assessing cannabis products' psychoactive potency. By combining wearable EEG technology with AI-driven EEG analysis, the PEL metric provides cannabis producers, researchers, and regulators with a non-invasive and cost-effective way to quantify product effects and maintain quality control. At CannMed 25, Israel will share results from over 10,000 EEG scans of consumers using a wide range of cannabis products in his oral presentation titled Cannabis Effect Research Driven by EEG Technology and Machine Learning. During our conversation, we discuss how Zentrela's wearable EEG technology got its start measuring drowsiness in truck drivers, the unreliability of consumer feedback surveys with regards to cannabis product effects, how the PEL metric was created to measure the unique psychoactive effects of cannabis, how EEG data can be applied to objectively measure the quality and effectiveness of cannabis products beyond simple cannabinoid percentages, research findings that show THC percentage and PEL percentage are not directly correlated, and more. Before we get to my conversation with Israel, I'd like to thank this episode's sponsor, the Dent Institute. With more than 300,000 patient visits per year, the Dent Neurologic Institute ranks among the largest neuroscience centers in North America. Its 24 subspecialty clinics often treat the most challenging neurologic conditions, including, but not limited to, migraine, chronic pain, ALS, MS, Parkinson's, dementia, and neuro-oncology. With their mission of advancing neuroscience, the Dent Institute established a cannabis clinic in 2016 to aid in the treatment of these chronic conditions seen throughout the institute. You can learn more at dentinstitute.com. Okay, and without any further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Israel Gasperin. Good afternoon, Israel. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Hello, Benjamin. Thank you very much for having me here. Happy to tell you more about our technology, Zentrela, and sharing all of this information with your audience.
Yes, I'm excited to talk with you today about this wearable EEG technology that your team has developed to measure the effects of THC in the user's brain. So let's start with what inspired you to develop this technology?
Yeah, thank you. I think I was thinking about this the other day, and the main inspiration to build this technology was in 2016 when the Canadian government was in the process of legalizing recreational cannabis consumption, and the lack of a test to objectively determine if a person is cannabis impaired or not.
Mm,
Uh, at that time, we were building this technology to detect drowsiness while driving, and we wanted to help truck companies to keep their drivers alert. So they were telling us about this upcoming legalization of cannabis consumption for non-medical purposes, and that they didn't have a way of detecting cannabis impairment, and that the current way, which is analyzing and detecting concentration levels of THC in saliva, urine, blood, or
mm,
breath, there didn't exist a test to analyze the brain of drivers. So we were like, okay, that's the aha moment when we decided to pivot from detecting drowsiness while driving to detecting cannabis impairment while driving. And in that way, help multiple markets to better determine if a person is or not impaired, because that's the biggest issue. We all know very well that THC remains in body fluids for many hours, days, or weeks post impairment or experiencing its effects, and that leads to inaccurate determinations about being impaired. So that was the main reason that inspired us to build this technology. And once we build it, we realized that the the need for this type of brainwave analysis was even bigger and beyond the safety and law enforcement applications. And that other application was for research to better understand the effects and the quality and efficacy of all of these innovative products and, you know, breeds and strains that the market is developing. And that's how all started.
wow. Okay. So really to start, it was to try to determine how impaired a driver was.
Yes, exactly. The Ontario Brain Institute and the Ontario Center of Innovation, two Ontario government organizations, fully funded us to develop this technology, and that's how we were able to build it. Because I hope you will appreciate and your audience will appreciate that in 2016 nobody really, well, not many were familiarized and believers of the potential of artificial intelligence, specifically when it's applied in brain data.
Mm,
So the government was the one that believed in this, potential crazy opportunity to, complement the current investigation process of cannabis impaired driving determination, and they were the ones that funded us to build this technology, build it to a commercially level kind of yeah, a level of commercial viability, and then conducting independent trials to prove that AI can do this type of brain wave analysis at a way faster and more cost-effective way and accurate than a neurologist or neuroscientist doing it individually or manually, right? So that's how all started.
oh, so interesting. So there's an AI component as well.
Absolutely. That's the main differentiator and the uniqueness of our approach. By the way, because EEG technology is not really new. It has been used for more than 100 years, but in the medical space, neurologists, neuroscientists, EEG technicians, certified EEG technicians have been using it for more than 100 years. The problem is, and in fact, we came to this conclusion and realized that that's the main reason why EEG technology has been inaccessible to several global non-medical markets, because when you require a neurologist, a neuroscientist, and EEG technology is built for medical applications, it becomes very expensive, very complicated to use, very slow, and that makes it not commercially viable for all of these type of markets that are also conducting some type of human research, not necessarily clinical or therapeutic, but it's more about understanding what is the state of being of individuals to make better decisions in terms of safety, law enforcement, product testing, product quality testing, etc.
Yeah, no, and it's a great technology for that application, especially because, as you said, the concentrations in the blood or saliva, they can last for much longer than people are actually affected. We've had folks on the podcast talking about those challenges before. So that's a great advancement.
Absolutely, Benjamin. And if you think about it, it's the exact same problem that we have when it's about measuring the quality of cannabis products.
Right.
Now, finally, I think the industry has kind of gained more awareness about the problematic that represents uh, uh, you know, judging and determining the quality of a product just by the THC metric.
Yes.
It's very well known that that doesn't necessarily determine the quality and efficacy of a product to create an intended psychoactive effect or other type of effects. It's not only about THC. It's overall, if you think about it, it's a complete change of paradigm in terms of measuring product quality. I think that we will always continue measuring the quality of ingredients
Mm.
and accurately determining the concentration levels of those ingredients in products and plants, etc. But another big thing is determining its quality to deliver the intended benefit to the consumer. And I think that's our vision and the reason why we exist, that analyzing the brain in a fast, cost-effective, and objective and scientific way is the approach to really determine in a new way what consumers are experiencing and measuring it in a reliable and scientific way, so it's accepted by all the stakeholders. Because I think that's the other big challenge that we have seen. There are many solutions, but I think coming up with a solution that all, like the main stakeholders of the industry will accept, I think that's the actual, event that needs to happen someday in order to become a new standard. And that's what we are kind of attempting to do long term.
No, and you're right. I mean, the industry really needs sort of an objective way to evaluate the effects of these products. We make the comparison all the time to alcohol, but where cannabis is really different from alcohol is that, is the experience. You drink alcohol. I mean, maybe you feel a little bit different when you drink tequila versus beer, but for all intents and purposes, that's not what is differentiating your products, right? It's more about the flavor or things like that. Whereas with cannabis, the experience can be very important. So having an objective way to maybe measure that or show an effect is very important.
Absolutely, Benjamin. And in fact, I think that it's an undefined, unexplored space. Like we talk about cannabis effects, but there are probably hundreds of effects that are
Mm.
created by cannabis and different cannabinoids, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that just differentiating them alone, it's something that we have never ever done, in the entire history of humanity. And I think that now,
Mm.
I think that the implementation of EEG technology with machine learning and science, etc., is giving us the opportunity for the first time to come up with universal and scientific and measurable definitions of what a cannabis effect mean. And I think that that's one of the most exciting opportunities to me to see, what is the potential of this technology for that. And just to get back to the point of subjectivity here, which is the big matter that we have been dealing with, is that because of this huge variability, this huge array of effects that cannabis creates, it's very um, subjective and easy to provide different type of feedback, which is what it has been happening with consumers, right? I might take 2 milligrams of THC and I could start feeling the body high and random and uncontrollable thoughts, which is the head high. Another person might feel strongly relaxed just with 2 milligrams of THC, and they might score in the drug effect questionnaire
Yeah.
a high level of, oh, strong cannabis effect. But these are completely different effects. So that is the unreliability of just simply using or getting consumer feedback if it's not standardized and objective.
So in that scenario and with your technology, are you able to see different areas of the brain lighting up on those different people who are experiencing different effects?
Absolutely, Benjamin. So I think maybe it's important to provide a little bit of context to your audience about the approach that is used with machine learning and artificial intelligence compared to the current traditional approach that has been used for more than 100 years. The current approach is all based on neuroscientists and neurologists doing very deep and clinical analysis of how different regions of the brain are stimulated by substances. And there are tens of papers explaining how cannabis and other drugs and other things, impact your brain functionality and specific regions of the brain, etc. But this analysis hasn't been standardized because of the complexity of just simply detecting specific changes. It's like a complicated combination of patterns or changes happening in multiple regions of the brain, etc. AI and machine learning is based on having large data sets of information
Hmm.
that you reliably know what they mean. So, in order to build this technology, we had to conduct large scientific human trials approved, of course, by independent ethics research boards. And that was how we used the funds that we raised to build these large data sets. So we were conducting manually and carefully under controlled scenarios human trials where we were observing and controlling how study subjects were intaking cannabis. And we use multiple approaches to reliably characterize the type of mental, cognitive, or emotional state that they were experiencing.
Hmm.
So and associate that to which of those are related to or uniquely created by cannabis and which ones are just altered by cannabis. For example, emotions, maybe cannabis might make you feel more happier, right?
Hmm.
That state is universal. It's not necessarily to cannabis, but getting back to the point, yes, we have built these huge databases that now are enabling us not only to generate the PEL metric. The PEL or psychoactive effect level metric is specifically designed to detect this mental state that is making you experience unique cannabis psychoactive effects like the
Hmm.
body high, the head high, and this famously called the entourage effect,
Hmm.
etc. But also, the AI that we are building is also helping us to develop other metrics that measure, for example, what is the relaxation state of study subjects. And based on that now, also quantify how cannabis or specific cannabinoids or specific products or specific amounts of a product will impact that relaxation state. Does it help you to relax or feel sleepy, or actually stimulates you to the point that you want to be, mentally active and socialize and do this kind of stuff. Is basically the equivalent of the indica and sativa thing, which is another myth, right, that exists in the industry. So it AI for EEG analysis is measuring multiple types of cannabis effects.
Mm. And so are all those different effects, are they all sort of combined into that PEL metric?
No, that's a great question. Right now we are building different metrics for one specific reason, Benjamin. For example, the relaxation or energy or sleep effects. These are mental states, universal mental states that are not necessarily and only impacted by cannabis.
Mm.
They are also impacted by L-theanine and melatonin and herbs, etc., caffeine, energy drinks, etc. So we strategically build these other metrics as standalones and independents, because now we are also helping not only the cannabis CPG market, but other wellness and health CPG markets that, by the way, have the exact same problem that the cannabis CPG market have. Their products are marketed by clinically proven L-theanine. And yeah, so what? Like, how did you prove that the way you mix a certain amount of L-theanine with other active ingredients or non-active ingredients and use a specific drug delivery method and the format, etc., the way that it will be consumed, how do you prove that that is the most effective way of delivering an intended effect? And these other metrics are not only helping cannabis for relaxation, energy, or the sleep effects, are helping all these other wellness and health CPG markets.
Interesting. All right. So that PEL, that is a specific effect for cannabis.
Exactly. That's
I see.
exactly right.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm curious, I was hoping you would share a bit about the kind of the findings that you found. Like, what were the different products that you were testing and comparing to each other, and sort of what stood out or what was surprising to you?
Absolutely. And I'm very much looking forward to presenting this work in
Yes.
detail at CannMed 2025 in beautiful Puerto Rico.
Yes.
But it's just a huge database of product effects that we have been accumulating, Benjamin, from different product formats, consumption methods, and consumption amounts, and different type of consumers that have consumed those type of products. But we have been doing studies with, for example, with PAX Labs. We conducted a partnership with them in order to study the psychoactive effect levels of live rosin,
Yeah.
oils that are vaporized versus distillate THC pods. And one of the biggest takeaways of that is that thanks to our metric, we were able to show, the quality and the famously called entourage effect that creates having, a live rosin product, which, for those who don't know, it's a combination of, you extract all the ingredients and properties, more than ingredients, all the properties that are in a plant when you squeeze it and get all of terpenes and several minor cannabinoids, THC, and all of the other kind of chemicals in that plant, versus just isolating THC through distillation and coming up with that an oil just with THC. So what this is suggesting is that live rosin, or at least the way this company built it, is creating a stronger psychoactive effects than just distillate THC alone. Interestingly, both products suggest that they have between 92 to 93, 96% of THC, but the actual quality of the experience is significantly different. And this is very important to them, because then now brands like PAX are also using this type of data to educate consumers and highlight why a live rosin product is a high quality product, a premium and more expensive product than the distillate THC alone. So that is one, but we have been doing a lot of research with strains like, joints that have, flowers that have 15 or less percent of THC versus 30% of THC. We have been doing research with beverages that have 2 or 2.5 milligrams of THC and quantify how that psychoactive effect level changes based on consuming 2.5, drinking 2.5 of THC, 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams of THC. We have also been doing research about what about changing the consumption pattern of a drink? Because you can have a beverage in 10 minutes, and that will be a completely different experience. The onset time and the potency of the experience will change than if you are just sipping it. A 10 milligram THC beverage, you are sipping it over an hour, how that changes the psychoactive experience. And I think that will continue helping a lot with consumer education and helping them to make informed and responsible consumption decisions so they can maximize the pleasant experience of cannabis and minimize the unpleasant effects, which is they are real and is the elephant in the room that many don't want to talk about it, but the reality is that also, managing and minimizing the you know negative effects like paranoia and anxiety, etc., is critical. And right now, to the best of my knowledge, nobody is really helping consumers to do that. And I think that is potentially the holy grail to, just, invite many curious, people to try cannabis, have a great experience, and then adopt it as another alternative than alcohol or, I don't know, other substances or products.
Interesting. So is that sort of that paranoia, anxiety, that negative effect, is that a metric that you can actually measure?
That is exactly right, Benjamin. And it was so interesting because when we started to build this technology and start conducting research, we didn't really know uh, many things about cannabis effects. But I vividly remember when some very frequent and daily cannabis consumers used to tell me, you know what, I can, smoke a joint, but and I can do as many puffs as I want or you need for the research, but there is a point where I just don't continue getting
Mm.
higher. It flattens and it doesn't change anything else. But what we found out with our EEG technology and also at that time administration of psychological tests proven to characterize your mood, the biggest takeaway was that yes, at a certain point, study subjects didn't feel more higher. And with our EEG scans and the PEL psychoactive effect level metric, we showed and obtained objective evidence that the PEL, the psychoactive effect level they were experiencing, was the same, whether you were having, I think, around 6 to 9 puffs, I don't remember the exact number, or 11 to 20 something puffs.
Wow.
Same psychoactive effect level, but what it was changing was their mood changes. The first group was experiencing serene and positive effects, like feeling more serene, whereas the other group was feeling anxious. And and so I think in an ideal world, which I think it will happen sooner or later, I think that the strains will be solved and with this information that will indicate how many puffs you should intake according to the properties of that strain and
Hmm.
potentially according to the profile of consumers in order to maximize those pleasant effects and minimize anxiety and paranoia and all of those unpleasant effects.
Interesting. Okay. So just going back, so what is the PEL actually measuring, if not sort of mood and that sort of thing. It's just how um, impaired a person is. What is the PEL metric?
Yeah, exactly. It's basically measuring a specific and unique brainwave alterations associated to the specific psychoactive effects of cannabis or THC or these other cannabinoids related to these psychoactive effects, like feeling the body high,
Mm,
the random
okay.
uncontrollable thoughts, and the head high, all of these effects that are, I don't know if they are therapeutic to the best of my knowledge, but they create this like nothing else to the best of my knowledge creates that type of specific effects, and that's what the PEL metric generate, measures. The other metrics that we have now measure other type of effects, like whether you are feeling more, energized or more relaxed or sleepy, etc.
Excellent. Okay, cool. And now I see is that the device behind you back there?
Exactly. It's our own wearable device, and the reason behind, because somebody asked me, why the heck did you build your own device if there are so many in the market? And I was like, well, for the specific reason that there is nothing that really works for this type of research that we are conducting for non-therapeutic and non-medical applications. It's just about mood effects and cannabis effects, etc. And in order to do it, you need to make it very cost effective, very straightforward to use. You don't need to be measuring the head, like the head of the study subjects, and from here measure X number of, centimeters or whatever, and the 1020 system. We converted all of that into basic standardized, you know, um, indicators to apply the device so quickly and easily. So anyone, I mean, food scientists, product developers, my team and I, who I'm not a neuroscientist either, are able to use this technology and collect EEG data uh, uh, for this type of scientific research.
Excellent. So, researchers, they could develop their own trial.
That is exactly right, Benjamin. We created some, let me call it, a standardized master EEG research protocol that has been approved by Health Canada and have been approved multiple times by different independent ethics research boards. But the beauty of our standardized research protocol is that it enables our partners, because we don't only do research in our lab, we are implementing this technology in other labs and research hospitals, is that they can customize, this protocol. They can typically what we do is EEG recordings before the intervention or consumption of a product,
Mm-hmm.
and then after the consumption of the product. So after consumption recordings are completely customizable. You can do many EEG scans or recordings right at the beginning, the first 30 minutes, if your objective is to capture the onset time as accurately as possible. Think about as resolution, right? The more samples, the higher the
Mm-hmm.
resolution to see how that evolves. But also you can do it, you can just record the EEG of study subjects and map that product experience for up to 30 minutes or 45 minutes or 1 hour or 3 hours or up to 5 hours, etc. Right? You can, customize that according to the needs and objectives of the company or research organization that is conducting research in this field.
Yeah, and I have to imagine this being, AI and machine learning, the more data that folks are generating, it's just going to feed into the system and just improve it, correct?
Exactly, Benjamin. It's just like a snowball, because the more data we collect, the more AI will continue learning, and I think that we will get to a point where the PEL metric will not only measure, the high how strong is that effect, etc. It will also tell us what type of high you are experiencing. Are you experiencing the body high or the head high or what hallucinations? I don't know, etc. I think that it will get to that level of accuracy. And even better, I think that it will get to a point where we will be able to personalize it. So imagine that at a certain point, and I want to be one of the first ones to say it because I really think it will happen, is that these devices will become, gadgets for consumers, where you will be able to wear it, it will read your brainwaves and will know who you are, what type of brain you are, and based on that, you will tell this app, hey, I want to relax today. Okay, you are this type of brain, you want to relax. These are the type of products that you should consume, and this is how you should consume them. I think that would be one of the latest stages of adoption of wearable EEG technology and AI for this type of consumer packaged good markets, like personalized
Mm.
recommendations of product used to accomplish an experience.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see a future with that. I mean, I wear my Apple Watch, I track my recovery and all that to inform when if I should work out or not. So it definitely seems like that's a possibility.
Totally, Benjamin. I mean, we believe in this 10 years ago, and that's why we continue doing this because we want to be, somebody needs to do it, and we want to be one of the first in doing it. And I just really think that nobody has built the databases that are required to unlock the potential of artificial intelligence to help us, make this type of brain analysis to understand cognitive, emotional, or mental states of people. And I think that this is just the beginning of many other applications. This technology, as I was sharing with you, was built for safety and enforcement. I just realized 10 years ago or 8 years ago that the cops were not going to use this technology right away. First, because it's a little bit of removing a little bit of their power, because it's no longer you giving your expert opinion. It's still subjective, though. It's now, an objective assessment. And I think it was very controversial at that time to prove that you could have THC in saliva and our EEG show that your brainwaves are not altered anymore.
Mm.
So our peer-reviewed publications show that this evidence could eliminate up to 50% of inaccurate accusations of being impaired or not being impaired just because of the amount of THC in saliva or whatever. So I think that these neurotechnologies, not only Zentrela's, maybe others, will be adopted by several other non-medical markets that continue, depending on subjective assessments of people, right? So, but it's a very, very, very exciting time for everyone who is in these spaces.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you talk about impairment too, like would it work for alcohol, like to correlate someone's blood alcohol content to how affected they actually are?
Exactly. In fact, I think that right now our perception of impairment is a little bit, I, w- I don't know if limited is the word, but maybe it's not, fully aware of what impairment means. And, you could be driving and you are impaired because you are in shock, you are hyper
Tired.
stressed, you are extremely tired, you are extremely pissed because something
Mm.
happened to you and now you are driving so aggressively. You may be drunk, you might be high with cannabis, you might be, high with so many other substances. So I think that's why I was mentioning building these databases directly associated to all of these states is what it will unlock the law enforcement use of this type of technology to better, to improve safety on our roads. And it's not, we haven't forgotten about that market, but we just believe that is just the tip of the iceberg, and it's a longer term application. I think that just for pure, cannabis effect research for, educational purposes to help brands, prove,
Mm.
product quality and differentiate their products is just an on tap market that is right there, and that's what we have been doing in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I know. And when you're talking about like sort of personalizing it and having, one of your own for sort of your personal use, like I can imagine, if you were wearing something, it's probably be a different device, but you're getting ready to write an email to someone, it kind of triggers like you might be a little too upset. You might want to sleep on it before you write that email.
Exactly. Brokers, right?
Yeah.
Hey, wait, don't invest. It seems like you are
Yeah.
super excited. Be more, objective. Think about it, come back. Exactly. Like measuring that type of emotions will enable many other markets to make better, more accurate, more informed decisions about so many other things, right?
All right, Israel. So wrapping up here. So you mentioned that you're coming to CannMed 25 in Puerto Rico this June, and we're very excited to have you. So you're going to be presenting this data and sharing this information. I'm just curious, what folks are you interested in connecting with there? Maybe this is a good time to kind of put out there who you're looking to connect with so that they can come down and meet you.
Absolutely. We are, I'm very much looking forward to, connecting with other researchers and product developers and food scientists and high quality brands. All of those, licensed producers that are building truly innovative and high quality products. I am very much looking forward to meeting with them and presenting our work because I really think that one of the biggest challenges that the global cannabis market is facing is saturation and undifferentiation. And right now the consumer is not aware of that and they don't believe in words. But what we have been doing in Massachusetts, which I will be presenting, is about the way we are helping all of these companies to differentiate their high quality products, regardless of their cannabinoid properties, and leverage that to really transform the way they develop products, they test them, and also they take them to market and educate retailers and consumers to really differentiate their brands and their products. And I really think that that's the future of cannabis CPG, and I'm very much looking forward to connecting with other, companies that really appreciate this scientific approach to innovate and differentiate their business.
Excellent. Well, you will be in the right place. All right. One more thing before I let you go. I want to give you an opportunity to share any additional resources that the listeners or viewers might be interested in reading more about to learn more about the technology and the things that you're developing. And of course, website, social media, anything like that, please plug away.
Absolutely. I think that the best way to, bring you up to speed is to connect on LinkedIn. That's the platform I use to share news, share some of the highest and most exciting results that, as soon as we complete the studies, etc. My name is Israel Gasperin. You can find me on LinkedIn with my complete name. Also, our website, Zentrela.com. But most importantly, if you look for peer-reviewed publications using the name of our artificial intelligence, the Cognalizer,
Cogno.
Cognalizer, because we have a breath analyzer, etc. This is the cognitive analyzer, the Cognalizer. You can find our peer-reviewed publications that, prove and explain and elaborate the objectivity, accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity and applications of this technology for multiple types of human research or investigation. So I think that that could be a very good introductory kind of content that you can gain to get more context, and hopefully when we meet in at CannMed, we can have more insightful and interesting conversations.
Excellent. I will put links to all of those resources in the show description so people can easily find it. Israel, thanks again for taking the time. It was a great talk and looking forward to meeting you in person down in Puerto Rico in June.
That sounds great, Benjamin. Thank you again for having me and having this very exciting conversation, and looking forward to meeting you in person as well.